soaking Silverstone. It's not, well, not something we're too unfamiliar with. We've seen absolute torrential rain here at the British circuit located in Northamptonshire, and everybody is going to be on the wet compound tyres for this session. Of course, that's going to open up the race a little bit later on, but who's got that optimised setup? If we have dry later on, everyone's going to run a dry setup. Whose setup's going to be able to deal with that best? If you're running a low downforce setup, you're going to struggle a little bit. See, everybody a little bit apprehensive to get on track. Michael's already retired in the Mercedes, so he is not confident. He just wants to sort of focus on the race, potentially. One of the Haas cars is going to be first out, and it's going to be Nipro, who heads out onto the Silverstone circuit for the first time here this evening. In ways, unfamiliar conditions, I think it'd be fair to say. Not many people would have devoted a lot of time to a wet sort of wet practice, so that is something that will be interesting come qualifying. Here we are now. But of course, whilst they're on their laps, we'll have a little bit of a dive into what happened last week, and well, what the implications are for the rest of the championship. We are on round number 6. By the end of time, we will have hit the halfway stage of this championship. And I think something that is really interesting to note is McLaren had the two same drivers last week. Erpic, double pole over the last 2 rounds. Both McLaren and the NRL team have changed their drivers completely. And second place from last week, Twosome not here as well this evening. Third place from last week, Rocco not here this evening. Packer back for the QVR team is here, and the first sort of returning driver, if you like. He came 4th in qualifying and just missed out. Only got 1 point last week, but nevertheless, the overall championship, we've now got a three-way fight. NRL have really dragged themselves up towards the front with 2 dominant displays in Paul Ricard and Imola to put themselves less than 20 points off of REL, who are currently at the top of the standings in the Alpine. XL in second, 16 points behind them, and then 3 points behind them is NRL. QVR not too far behind. Then comes a fierce battle amongst the midfield. However, though, starting his flying lap is Nipro. First, believe it's the first race for him this evening in the DTR ESports League on round number 6. And for me, what the wet conditions is, it's just what I like to do in the wet conditions is just build up as he understeers so much into the first chicane. There's a real braking moment on the lap, running such low revs, just trying to get the traction out of Village in the loop. Down towards Brooklands we go. End of the first sector is going to be a 31.1. Maybe just on this dry setup, struggling a little bit. Yeah, as I was saying, what I personally quite like to do is just to build it up, build up your confidence, build up your understanding of the... Oh, and a big snap for the Haas driver. But yeah, build up your confidence, build up your understanding of the circuit. Almost put sort of 5-6 laps of fuel, which is something you wouldn't normally do in qualifying, and just slowly keep progressing, keep building, finding more time, gaining more confidence, just so you're ready. You're ready to put in the best lap, and keep sort of finding where that limit is, as Nipro is doing out on the circuit. Just behind him is QVR Packer. Another driver out nice and early. If you guys, I thought you just want to be out on track for this this moment in time as we head towards Stowe. Very demanding corner down into 4th gear. Shifts up nice and early. The car getting a little bit light on exit. Held the rear well though as we head into the final couple of corners. Getting on the power now as we race towards the line. The first time of the day is a 1 minute 39.3. What is Packer do? I've gone completely wrong. I should have gone the other way around. Packer though across the line. It's only 39.364. Marginally ahead. We'll flick back. Who is going to set some good times? Stevens goes into P3. Verstappen goes almost a second clear for P4. What can Optic do? Representing NRL this evening. Maybe he's invalidated his lap time, unfortunately. Gary has as well. As he negotiates his way through the final couple of corners. As Pease has gone on to original pole with 1 minute 38.1 in the Alpine as well. Racing for REL. Marcus for B. And he's not had the best of lap times. You can see his time is already well beyond anything that will be particularly competitive. Box sort of restores that competitiveness for NRL. and he goes to the top of the timesheet, the first person into 1 minute 37. We'll have to keep an eye on whether the conditions do improve. Michael just coming towards the end of the first sector. What's he looking at? Racing representing DTR. 1 minute 30.5. That's a very good first sector time. Someone who is notoriously good in the wet, I can add. Does love the wet conditions, Michael, so he'd be one to keep an eye out for in the Aston Martin here. As more times are coming in, I think Ariel Freg has gone into P9. What do you mean, what happened to Michael? Oh, Michael, hey, very weirdly, Michael retired in the pit lane, straight off the bat, so unless he just didn't want to face the conditions and fancy starting from the back, I am not too sure on that one. But as Michael the other Michael weaves his way through the first couple of corners, gets on the power now, running out of Chapel and on to the hangar straight underneath the bridge that connects the sort of Porsche Experience Centre, I believe, off to the right hand side as we look at him now. But into Stowe we go, drops it down into 5th gear, finds 4th as well, helps the rotation, helps sort of keeps the revs a little bit high, but of course that is a dangerous game to play. Verstappen has gone into P2, less or just over a tenth behind Sparks. What can Michael do now as he weaves his way around the final couple of pieces, improves his time even more, finds more time on the table, 37.7 for him. What can Michael do in his first flying lap? Into 38.3, decent first time on the board. See if Robbie has gone into P4. McLaren drivers now are coming to the end of his lap. Sparks a little bit off at the moment, but he's building up to go again. What can Optic do? Currently in a P14 as he runs towards the line. Now the rear stepping out on him there, and it's 1 minute 38.1. He goes into P4 with that flying lap. The last time's coming in thick and fast as everyone's well and truly on their push laps. The Ferrari of Zerdimer 1.4 seconds up on his current time. Here we're looking to get into the low 38s if he can. Round the final corner, he goes into 39.9. Goes P9 with that. A lot of 9s in that moment for him. Lancey, a lot of time in the first sector, 7 tenths per second up. He's now 8 tenths per second up as he crosses the second sector activation point. Throws it into to Stowe once more. Doesn't use 4th gear. Keeps the revs a little bit low. It's going to help with the traction on the exit. And as the Mercedes slash SRL driver comes around the final 2 corners, of course the Mercedes flying so low in the rear, steps on him there, had to adjust his line a little bit. Around the final he goes into 39.2, he goes into P10 for the time being. XL Gary moving his way through Maggots, Beckett, and Chapel runs a little bit wide on the exit of Chapel. We've had a time Verstappen, he's gone into P3, 38 flat at the top of the timesheet. 2 Haskars line astern. That's Aaron is back, he's back and he's starting another flying lap. Bunty and Jarry just starting things at the moment. What can Gary do in his final couple of corners? Not a lot left for him in this lap. Can he get into the 37 club? Can he get into the, is it going to be a 38? Just outside of the 38. That's a very good time though from the Ferrari driver. We've seen him qualifying so close as DRA Ezra through Mangus and Beckett's into Chapel. Keeping nice and tight on the inside, opening up the exit a little bit as well to help get the power on. Maybe people deciding to come in for some, he goes purple in the middle sector, 1 at 11.3 is his combination time. Quali ban for somebody, I assume that's why, I don't know. Nevertheless, Ezra just a couple of corners to go. Down on the brakes, 2nd gear, avoids the Soch curb on the inside, avoids it on the next second part, and round we go. Onto the Hamilton straight, as I believe it's now called, the car wiggling about into 38.3 for the DRA driver. 3 drivers into 1 minute 37. Aaron has invalidated, Jarry's invalidated, and Bunty, I believe, is on his debut by the sounds of it. There's a one of the reason the Mercedes has got a qualifying ban. There's a reason he's sort of retired. And cast your minds back to last week's. Fortunately, one of the SRL drivers blocked somebody during qualifying. They got a qualifying ban because of it. So that is why the Mercedes retired straight off the bat. Bunty onto the national pit straight, of course, where the pit lane used to be, hugging the inside, taking the shortest route where he can as he throws the car. He throws the car in 6th gear, and Peace goes even faster. It's a 37.7 for him. We're going to have to follow him a little bit later on to try and. What I like to do in these qualifying sessions is try and get on board with someone right at the top and go for a full lap, because I mean all the drivers in this field are absolutely rapid. I mean even in the wet conditions they're not separated by a lot. We've seen over the last few weeks there's been a second, the field spread's been about a second. We're seeing that again tonight, even in these conditions. But I want to go on someone who's able to find that little bit more. Bunty goes a little bit deep, and the rear just sort of getting a bit lighter. And once again, we've seen quite a few drivers have that moment through there as he locks up the inside front. It's an improved time from Marcus from BNRI. He goes into the 37. That's a fantastic time from him there. And across the line, Bunty goes P18. Oh, what a spin. That's facing the wrong way. Is Stephen, so one of the BNRE cars goes high up, one spins around, and Ezra finds a 10th of a second, he goes in a P9. What's Michael doing? He's a 10th of a second up. Sort of he's racing in D1 this season, racing D1 last season as well in the weekly divisions races. From Magus and Beck as he goes, the fans are in full force despite the classic British weather. Sparks on an outlap, currently in P3 for NRL. And yellow flags are out, but nothing too much to worry about on the house drives. Dives in the pedal. Michael's finding even more time now as he sets himself up for Stowe Corner. Seen he used 5th gear on his last attempt. He's going to find 4th gear this time around. Just 2 more corners to negotiate for the Aston Martin DTR driver. Up to 3rd gear. Gets on the power nicely. Peter's gone even quicker. It's a 37.4. He's not opting to, but I need to follow him at some point because that is an absolutely monster time. And Michael would have been provisional pole for Pete's improvement, but it's a 37.6 from him. Is Pete carrying on? I've got to find Jarry goes into P3. Fantastic time from Jarry, another D1 driver racing in the weekly divisions races as well. I'd love to know what the conditions are for the race. Is Pease on a push lap? I'd like to follow him if he is. I don't think he is. He's 1.8 seconds down. Michael is invalidated, so we're not going to be following him. Jarry looks to be on it, so we might try and follow him as he gets ready for the brakes. Down into Brooklands, he's marginally up, almost 10th of a second, just underneath. Good control in this Red Bull. I like his helmet as well. Of course, racing with DTR in the esports, in the weekly divisions review under the DRA name. Here on the Friday night, into Cops Corner we go. 6th gear, avoids curve on the inside, using all the circuit available to him on the exit, and he's got to be committed through the next couple of corners, keeping the car nice and stable. There's no big moments here from Jarry, just nice and clean. And on the exit, he's found a big snap, and that is going to cost him a fair chunk of time. He's lost 4/10 of a second, and that will be his lap. Michael gets the way. Is Pease going again as he's diving into the pits? Pease is coming in for a set of new tyres. Have to see how he gets on. Sparks he's matched his first sector time as he heads into Cops Corner. We're going to see him out, was dropping for sounds of 6th gear. Over 240 kph, just everybody in the world is coming out of the pit lane. The CPR drivers in at 9th and 18th at the moment, a little bit of time for them to find. He could be setting a lap time. Optic just about to start his flying lap. A lot of guys on out laps just come out the pit lane, a couple more runs on the yes, I definitely a commentator's curse, I must say. It was looking so stable, that Red Bull, and then had the big snap on the exit of Chapel. Maybe just chasing a little bit too much, looking at his Delta Sparks. 2 more corners to negotiate. He's only in P5. Can he find a 37.8? Can he find a 37.6? Around the final corner we go. It's a 37.4. It's even better than that. It's provisional pole for the NRL drive, and its normal service resumed, as you might say. Of course, Erpic's been dominating qualifying over the last 2 weeks. Back-to-back pole positions for that team. Armand's going into P7. Good job for him on his debut. CPI Robbie seems to be regular in the esports league at the moment. We've seen him quite a fair few times. Packer on track at the moment, running down in P15, a little bit out of position. I think it's fair to say from Packer, where we've seen him this season, short shifting a fair amount. This can't be a bush lap, surely. There's quite an aggressive 4th gear switch there from 2nd up to 4th. As he gets on the power, I think he will be a little bit down, so maybe just a bit of a cool lap for him, or I'm going to be completely wrong. Yes, I am. He's a 10th up. Completely ignore me there. Really opting for the low revs to try and help with the traction there. And this is why these guys are the best. I mean, they're doing things that don't look right to me, but they don't look right to the normal person, and the rear stepping out once more, even though he's in the higher gear. as we head down the national straight towards Cops Corner. Jarry on a fresh set. Sparks, of course, he put on a set a little bit out of sync almost. Pease is just out on track. I think he's up at Brooklands or Luffield. In the middle sector we go with Packer. He finds decent exits. He runs all the way wide, and the wrist snapping out on him again, but holds it together. 2/10s down though at the moment for Packer, and he was just demanding so much of the AlphaTauri on the exit there. As we head round Stowe, Sparks is on even quicker. The time is being found when you put on a new set. Look up on the inside there for Packer. Sparks at 37.3. We're going to have to follow Pease for his final lap. Around the final corner we go, and Packer doesn't improve, unfortunately. Right, Pease validates his out lap, but he won't be too bothered about that as we head towards the final couple of corners. Ariel will be hoping for a strong result. They didn't score massively. They've been actually the most consistent team if you ignore Paul Ricard. They're looking for a good strong result this week with Pease and Freg in the hot seats. What can Pease do? Can he respond to Sparks? He's going to get 2 flying laps in here. That's a rogue move, holding 6th gear, but I mean, this is, again, I'm sure they all know what they're doing. 4th gear seems to be the gear of choice on the exit of turn 3. As we get on the power, not much he can do now as he takes the kink out of Village and the loop, and he gets ready for the braking zone down at Brooklands. He's matched his first sector time. Up towards Luffield we go. Second gear to try and help the rotation, slow the car down a little bit more, and he starts short shifting up through the gears. Car wanted to over-rotate a little bit on exit, but he held it together. Jarry also out on a fresh set. He is a little bit further ahead of us, I believe. Sparks is even quicker. He's on a 37 flat. Should be following Sparks, not Pease. Sparks has got one more lap in him. Oh no, he's backed off, so the Sparks session I think is done. Pease will get 2 more attempts at this. He uses all the track. What's the delta going to be like? He's a 1/10 of a second up. He's going to have to find a hell of a lot of time in the final couple of corners. Verstappen is on a flying lap as well. A little bit up the road. He's gone into P2. He jumps Pease. Pease is demanding so much of this Alpine. 2 more corners to negotiate. Big lock up on the inside, but just gets the car into the apex. Round the final corner we go. Onto the pit straight, just trying to get a bit of rotation. He crosses the line, it's a 37.3. He goes into P2. Verstappen going again once more. Sparks, that is a very interesting line to take there, but getting out the way of others. You've got to commend him of that, at least. Verstappen, 0.02 of a second up. Michael is melted his lap, but I think he will get another go at it. He is pushing to make sure that happens. There's too many yellow flags, no he's not. Michael will be P4 at best. Jarry invalidates, he's where he is, using all the circuit. A little bit worried about invalidating there, but he held it all together. Short shifting once more. One more corner to negotiate. We go on board on the front wing. Gets around the final corner, just about, goes P5. Finds a 10 for a second, jumps ahead of Michael and Jarry there. Fergus just got his lap in. Verstappen is just a little bit up on his time. He'll be the first of the big boys, it's fair to say, up at the front of the field to finish. Optic has gone as we saw Optic going P5. Michael does finish, of course, invalidated. Michael and Jarry are going to be where they are at the moment. Verstappen round Cops he goes. It's going to be so close up at the front is Sparks. So Sparks is done. Sparks is done. It's Verstappen and Pease we're going to have to watch out for. And Freg, of course, just getting to start his lap time. And of course the others behind. Ezra goes into P5 in the Red Bull. Verstappen comes around the final corner and across the line. It's going to be a 37.4. Improves. Is P3 for him. Pease is invalidated. Unfortunately, what can Freg do? He's 9 seconds down. Gary on circuit is 8 thousandths. Robbie's invalidated, but he was massively up. Robbie was 0.6 of a second up. I'd love to know the corner cut he made there. I think there's maybe a few guys further back, but it's Gary we're going to be focusing on. He's drifting around Cops Corner. Into the braking zone we go. Gets the nose in nicely. What can Gary do? Exel need a good result. They're currently second in the championship. They could be staring at 9th and 13th. Across the line comes Gary, and he improves, but not enough to move himself any higher than 9th. Zenema has retired. I think we're just waiting for Freg to finish his qualifying session. He comes to the pit lane. we have Status qualifying done and dusted. It's 3 weeks in a row and it's 3 NRL podiums in a row. The contenders are up at the front. Everybody's up at the front, and once again, it's the same thing I say every single week. Qualifying is so close here in this DTR Esports League. We've got Sparks up in front. And if you sort of ignore that 3/10 gap, the field spread is, roughly a second. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic racing. I'm sure we're going to see a great race once again. The conditions will be very interesting. It's definitely a very tactical esports race normally. Just with sort of energy, DRS, slipstream management, I think will come into play no matter what the conditions are. But a great qualifying for Alpine, a great qualifying for McLaren, and that is REL and NRL. And yes, a little bit of work to do from XL, but we've seen them do it before. We've seen them have that reverse sort of alternate strategy and it play into their hands with a safety car, and that's what got them the win in Bahrain, of course. But remember last week, it was a dominant race from Erpic and the NRL team. Could we see that again today? As the sun is shining on Silverstone, it's a completely different day. I think it's fair to say, I think we can still see the intermediates in the Mercedes garage, so I might want to put them away. I don't think we'll be needing them this afternoon, judging by the colours of the sky. I'm just waiting for the drivers who select strategies and fuel loads. And I think strategy will be really interesting today. Who's going to opt for the alternate strategy, going for medium then soft? Because that is the normal strategy around here, but of course a safety car can just mix it all up completely. We'll have a think about last week. So yeah, dominant performance from Erpic. It was Tusum who, again, was just sort of, he's 7 seconds behind him, and he was sort of 7 seconds behind him the whole race. It was the front two really did gallop away, and the battles behind in the rest of the grid were just epic. We had a great battle for P3, Robbie winning that on the final lap of the race. Fantastic from him. He beat Rocco, who's racing today, of course. He's not racing today, of course, I've just realised, sorry. So I think actually only Robbie's the only returning person from the top 9 from last week. I think we're going to get a great race still once again today. That's what I like also, the big mix-up of drivers. And we run through the order, and I can already see on the McLaren that is starting on pole position, the tyre strategy is going to be a little bit interesting. I will get it up, but let's go for the big reveal. Sparks on the medium compound tyres. P's gone for the different strategy. He's gone for the more conventional soft compound tyres. He'll be looking to get ahead at the start, maybe try and break that second gap and gallop off into the distance. Verstappen on the medium compound tyres. Freg, both Alpines looking to gain track position, going for the soft compound tyres, the more, what's the word for it, the more sort of conventional strategy. Ezra on softs, opting on softs, Michael on the medium compound tyres, Jarry's on softs, Gary on mediums, and running up top 10 is Arwen on soft compound tyres. It's Marcus on the softs, Rob on the mediums, Shocker on the softs, mediums for Zerma, Packers on mediums, Stevens on softs, Nip Pros on mediums. It's softs for the Merc of Lancy. CPI Bunty is on the mediums, and running on the field is Michael on soft compound tyres as well. I think it's going to be interesting. Is there a team correlation? I don't quite think so. You've got both CPR drivers have gone mediums, both DTR drivers have gone mediums. You've got both Alpines on softs. You've got both DRA drivers on softs. So a lot of similar choices here. Maybe the guys in sort of party calls or something similar have been sort of discussing the strategy at the start for quite some time. It's been a long time for the guys to think about it. It might have been a position-dependent thing. The REL guys maybe just, the top of the championship, they don't want to take risks starting on the mediums. They want a good punchy start. But I mean, all the talking will stop in a moment. Well, it won't stop, it will get even louder. But the debate will stop in a moment's time. We'll find out what the best strategy is going to be. The drivers line up on the grid for round number 6 of the DTR Esports League. We're here at sunny Silverstone, in, of course, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, as is listed on the game, as we wait for the two Mercedes and Bunty to line up on the grid. There is your preferred or your predicted pit stop strategy, and we're here for the start of the Grand Prix. The lights will come on any moment's time, and we're here now. We have 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Here is Silverstone. And it's lights out and away we go. We're held for quite a long time. What's the start line for Pease? Can he find a way up the inside? Looks like McLaren has got a fantastic start. It's actually the two Alpines are going to go side by side into turn one. I think Berg's got a clean around the outside of two drivers there. Fantastic start for him in the Alpine, but it's Sparks leading from Berg from Pease as we head into the first couple of corners. A bit of wing flying there. Not sure who that's from. We've got Williams off to the side, a little bit further back, an Optic dueling away with Ezra on the exit here. Who's going to get the better run onto the hangers, onto the Wellington straight? Looks like it's going to be the slipstream for Optic that's going to win him out on this one. Further back down the field, Arwen battling with Jarry. He's going to go down the inside and move himself up into PA. Jarry dropping a few places, and Robbie has gone down the inside of two drivers, and Jarry losing more and more places. I think he's got the wing damage. He'll be coming at the end of this lap. I am certain of that. Hopefully we're not going to see any sort of Hamilton Verstappen-esque things here, but Bunty getting ahead of Jarry as well on those medium compound tyres. He's up into Ironstate. We're going to get clean ahead, and Jarry's getting out of the way there, sort of, I think, fairly enough, as Michael gets ahead of Jarry. Two further up at the front. Optic putting the pressure on the medium runner. Verstappen, it seems the pit stop strategy is going to be around lap 11 and 14. Marcus got ahead of Zerdemer down in the battle for P16. As we head onto Wellington Straight, the two Ariel drivers are second and third. They have gained a net position between the pair, and of course Ferg is up 2, Pease is down 1 as we slam on the brakes into Cops corner. That's Optic down the inside of Verstappen. Irwin has gone down the inside of Michael, so the soft guys getting the rub of the green. I think it's fair to say in these opening couple of laps. Ezra up into 4th, up into 5th as he's on the back now. Oh, big snap there. Sparks goes fast lap of the race on his medium tyres. 5-second penalty for speeding the pit lane, Lance, is not what you want. And look at that, the 5 bottom drivers all diving into the pit lane, maybe for a bit of front wing damage. You would imagine, actually this early on in the race, I don't think a set of hards is probably going to be the preferred strategy towards the end. We might see mediums and softs put on for some of those guys, but it's the two Ariel drivers are in a McLaren sandwich. It's been a great start to Optic in this race. I like to put the telemetry on in a few laps, so I'll have that up. But we're going to watch the racing for the time being, because it's frantic, it's fast, and it's a straight fight between LRL and Ariel at the top of the championship standings and in this race. Spark still leading the way on his alternate strategy. Hard tyres have been used there for Nipro, but interesting to see which way he's going. Definitely trying to go to the end. He's gone board with Pease. He's pushing Freg through Maggers and Beckett, and we're going to get DRS enabled on the next lap. And now we're going to have an absolute slipstream fest, because everybody is within DRS range from 2nd all the way down to 14th. So we're going to get the DRS train we're used to seeing around here in Silverstone on the F1 games. He goes in a bit deep. That's going to give the opportunity to Optic. Can he find a way past? No, he can't. As Freg says, fast up of the race, I want it 29.8. We're already in 29, just Michael goes fastest, back in P8. So all going well for him at the moment, even though he's on the medium compound tyres. And Freg really putting on the pressure against Sparks. So I think we're going to be seeing a potential overtake here. The soft tyres just yielding him that much more grip, and especially in the DRS, especially in the slipstream. He's going to be right on the back of the McLaren driver. He flicks to the inside. I think I think Sparks knows it's a done deal for the time being. He slams on the brakes and he moves himself up into P1. His goal now will be trying to break the second. As we go Ariel, NRL makes up your top 4. Well, Sparks, Verstappen leading way on the alternate strategy. Speaking of Verstappen, he's still well within the hunt up at the front. Marcus into the pit lane. He's just going to lose out to Jarry on exit. Maybe picking up a slight bit of damage. Packer flirting with that second. Verstappen goes in a little bit deep. He's compromised his line though for the next couple of parts. And Ezra is going to be right on the back of the QVR driver. Of course, there's no Avatar, normally known as the junior team, if you like, but there's none of that here this evening. Pease trying to shape up Spark. Can he find a way around the outside? He can't. And he opened his way up to make a move into the chicane. I think he's going to go for it. He's going to switch to the outside here. Spark goes defensive on the inside. There's no way around the outside there for Pease, and he still has to remain 2nd and 3rd. But as we see them now, it's Freg. Oh, he's on the inside. He's got a very fantastic move. Pease is fast up the race whilst making the move, and somehow the camera angle did not help us there at all. I think he got this switch back, but he's done an absolutely fantastic job. Of course, on the outside for the first part. What's happened to Arwen? I think we've had a spinner. He's got no front wing. He's facing the wrong way. Was facing the wrong way. That promotes a lot of guys. And we're going green flags once more. Is Pease going to go to his teammate? I don't think he will. They'll be sensible about this, but Optic, no way through from there. Ezra had a look on Verstappen as well. Of course, the difficulty is the driver you're battling has also got DRS. Look at the much more grip there from Optic. He's got a much better exit off of Luffield onto the national straight. Bit of team play here, I think, as Sparks slots behind his soft running teammate. And I was just about to say there's been no track limits penalties, and then we get our first. So Optic are allowed to go and attack in front. Of course, Sparks on a different strategy. He's going a bit longer in this race to bolt on a set of softs a little bit later on, and Optic gets the first time, so penalty up at the front. And the McLaren Alpine's changing position. Maybe a bit of tactics there. They might just do this to sort of maintain the pace and make sure they don't get overtaken from behind. Ezra got a bit of a run on Verstappen, but no way through. Managed to sort of back off, and things go to bad to worse. Oh, well, that's a massive snap from Ezra. We can see that from the front wing camera. Coming out of the final corner, and Michael gets a little bit interested just behind in this one. Optic is going to go for the move. He is going to go for the move down the inside. Late on the brakes, there's a bit of wheel banging between the pair of them. And what's happened to Freg? What's happened to Freg? I think he's sort of been Raikkonen and Lewis Hamilton a little bit. Massive moment for him as he got hit again. The camera angle was didn't help us out in seeing what happened there. Freg hit a little bit, and he's now on the attack of Gary down the inside. That's an easy move with DRS, and he gains one position of all the ones he lost. But it's fair to say, RL, all of a sudden, they seem to be in pole position, literally. And they're now down to first and eighth rather than first and second. So both McLarens will be on the attack now, with Optic getting through a little bit physically, I think it's fair to say. Robbie all over the back of Michael a little bit too. The Aston Martin DTR driver keeps his cool for the time being. And he now opens his DRS. And can Optic challenge up at the front? He goes to the inside, Optic making the move. Optic takes the lead of this eSports Grand Prix. Sparks just behind. He'll just be happy to sort of be getting pulled along a little bit, save his ERS where he can. And actually, whilst we're talking about ERS, I will get the telemetry up, because it is interesting. I think the ERS battle is so interesting. 94% for the man in third. Actually, the guys in front doing quite a good job in sort of saving it. They know how important it is when you really want to attack and defend. And as we hit the brakes once more, you can barely separate the top 13 at the moment. There's only one gap that's over a second, and it's only barely over a second. It is definitely fair to say. We head down the national pit straight. Into Maggots, Beckett and Chapel we go. Who is going to be on the attack this time around? McLaren driver has Sparks opens DRS, Pease opens DRS. I think the gap might be a little bit too big for an overtake, but I could be proven wrong here. No, he's not opting to use ERS. Ezra on the back of Verstappen. Can he find a way through? Not on this occasion. That DRS sort of train not helping too much with 6 laps into the 26. And it's a pit stop for Freg. Freg is coming in, so I assume he wants to get rid of that front wing damage. He's probably maintained when the Haas cars are spun a little bit further back in the field. The top 6 remaining as they were. Gary dropping back a little bit, starting to get a bit of a train behind him. Trocker the first one in that train, which we want to try and get through on this lap if he can. He's just sitting comfortable, maybe doing a bit of ERS saving just behind, and the race has hit a brief sort of, I want to say almost saving moment, and there's a yellow flag because that's one of the CPI drivers, Bunty's had a spin or has been spun round for some reason. Doesn't seem like he's got any visible damage on the Alfa Romeo, so we'll keep going on this one. Not too many incidents so far. Trocker's on the back of Gary in the battle for P8. He want to be making this move ASAP to make sure he doesn't lose too much touch. But back at the front, Pease is going for the move on the outside. I think he's going to have the legs with DRS. By the time they hit the brakes, the McLaren driver will be behind him. The other McLaren driver, Optic, sweeps round the outside. Verstappen's just about holding on ahead of Ezra. There's contact between the pair of them. They're off. Spinning round for Verstappen. I think he really realised there was a car on his outside. He will avoid hitting the wall though. And up at the look at Ezra losing between there to Gary. Strocker, of course, was going through on Gary, but Gary held on, and Gary now was up in a P6, braking. That's a very aggressive braking of the toe. Here goes Strocker down the inside. Oh, he thought about going down the middle of the pair of them. He's going to go round the outside of Gary. Where's Gary? Gary's still there. Gary wants to get back to P6. Strocker, though, has swooped round the outside of him. Packer's still here. Ezra's managed to hold on to P6, and there's going to be contact here, and Packer involved in well, they both AlphaTauris want in contact, and Michael goes around the outside of him. And we could see a double move here because Strocker, he wants to get past Gary. He's still trying to get past Gary. Ezra loses P6 and drops down to P8. He loses 2 positions there. And Gary, after all of this, is still ahead of Strocker. I'm not sure how that's happened. But the Aston Martin driver is still staring at the back of the Ferrari driver. Could we see him moving the Copse corner? I think he's going to play this one a little bit more sensibly and wait for DRS, because I imagine the Ferrari could get him straight back. The yellow flag in sector 3. One Haas car is in the pit lane. He's retired. Why would you do that? I don't know. These have not both retired. Silver linings, I guess. Anyway, back to the battle for P6. Because DRS open, ERS fully activated. Which side is he going to go for? He's going for the inside. And Trocker moves himself up into P6. Looks like Packer's got ahead of Michael for P9. Is the medium tyre starting to be the one you want to be on? As Michael now, after all that's happened, he's just sort of comfortably showering at the back. Ezra's into the pit lane. In P10, it was an early stop, bit of an undercut. Yeah, after all of this, Michael's just sort of casually cruised his way up to the back of the front 3. As Bunty will get ahead of Ezra as well on the pit lane exit, and so will Verstappen. Yeah. Michael done a very good job on these medium tyres. So has Robbie, in all fairness, as well. Sparks closes him, but he's not quite close enough. By the time they hit the brakes, the 2 McLaren drivers know the importance of this battle. Of course, Ariel are currently 19 points ahead of him in the championship. So as things stand, they will be gaining on their rivals, but they do want to be taking that win where they can. Looks like Ezra's come onto the circuit right amongst the battle, a little bit further back, so that could be quite interesting. Obviously, if he was a little bit second top of the road, he would have found a fair few more positions, and he could be going for the move here. On Zerdemer, Zerdemer covers the inside. On the soft commentators might have on the soft commentators he might have the grip, but then again a fresh set of mediums for Ezra could help him out. I have to flick back to the front because they are literally pushing each other around this final sector. Sort of happening what we had last week, but almost ramped up a little bit. We've got lots of little battles on track, and that's Trocker into the pit lane. He pulls the trigger a little bit closer to the front in P9, maybe reacting to what Ezra did. And I have to monitor the gap. I think he'll come out well ahead of Ezra. Late on the brakes there for Optic, but got the car slowed down very nicely, and actually I've got a feeling Trocker's been racing Freg here on the exit. We'll have to keep an eye on that on the mini-map. As he puts on a set of medium commentators, he'll be going to the end. Someone who isn't going to the end is Optic. He's looking to find a way past Pease. Of course, Pease is in the slipstream. He's in the DRS of Optic's teammate in front. We're not going to see that, but an audacious move around the outside. Actually, Sparks has made the move fully. I don't think we missed that in all the chaos a little bit further back. And who's under attack? It's Michael. I don't think Robbie's going to be looking for a move on this occasion into Copse corner. Stevens gets 3 seconds added to his race time, and Trocker has not got ahead of Freg. But he's in nice clean air. So he'll be trying to pump in the lap times, trying to do a bit of an undercut. Will we see someone react to that? Maybe the likes of Michael up at the front. Pease is not quite close enough to make the move on Sparks. I think the medium tyres are definitely starting to be the ones you want to be on there. You know, a bit more pace than their rivals. He seems to have great pace as Robbie's keeping within 0.2 of a second of Michael for a few moments then. and the front 5 are separated by literally nothing. I mean, this is what Silverstone provides you for me in the esports racing. It's so close, the margins are so fine, and it is so difficult to overtake really when, well, for example for Robbie, the 3 cars in front of you have also got DRS and have also got a super strong slipstream. Optic, it all bunches up. On the run onto the Wellington straight, and a massive break of toe because Optic wants to go for the move. Pease wants to go for the move. Could we see a move around the outside? This will be audacious from the McLaren driver. I think the door is going to be shut on him there. Just behind, Michael's having to do a bit of defending, a bit of attacking. Best of both worlds. Into Hop's corner we go once more. It's still NRL, Ario, NRL at the front, but Michael and Robbie are still there. Go through Maggots, Beckett and Chappell. Michael picks up 3 seconds. That's not going to help him in his race. Somehow he's held on. Evasive action taken from Robbie there. Michael still facing the right way though. How on earth he saved that, I do not know. I'm sorry, in all of that, round the outside goes Sparks. He wants to try and hold on. Peace dives in the pit lane. That's a strategic move, and actually I think maybe catching Optic a little bit off guard there as the 2 McLaren drivers now lead the way. Pease into the pit lane. I'll have to see where he comes out in relation to Freg and Trocker, because they're your leading pit stoppers, if you like. Yes, definitely great stints from Robbie. And Bunty, Robbie now up in a P3 on the circuit, P4. Once everyone's made their pit stops, I do believe, and Bunty, well, after a bit of a not an ideal start, I think it's fair to say. So he put in a good stint. It's not a million miles behind this front battle, it must be said. Michael, though, he's kept within DRS range after his almighty save. And McLaren drivers maybe playing a little bit tactically here as they lead the way 1-2 for the time being. As Freg has done an all... Actually, Zerdema goes fast lap of the race. Bit of DRS helping him, and his soft tyres down in P16. But something's really interesting. Freg was involved in an incident a little bit earlier on. Bit of front wing damage for him, but he's reeled the gap in. He's got his head down, he's put the laps in, he's used a hell of a lot of ERS. And he's now only 2 seconds behind Pease, who was right at the battle at the front. So Freg has, with a bit of strategy and a bit of just pure speed, reeled his way back towards the battle at the front as Optic takes the lead. Robbie gets a good view of this, and the medium runners will now be given the lead of this race. So I think Optic will dive straight into the pit lane. Yes, he does. And that's actually something we are going to follow. Optic into the pit lane. I don't think there's anything else on circuit, so we'll have to keep an eye on the mini-map as well. And as you can see, the McLaren boys just in front of him there. He'll dart in, put on his medium compound tyres. Is it a quick change from the McLaren boys? It's not too... It's pretty good, actually. Got a really good release there. And we're going to have to see on the minimap they're coming around the final couple of corners now are the 2 Alpine drivers. It's so frustrating now, sat at 59 kph, knowing your rivals are absolutely flying past. And as he gets on the power, Pease can see the gamer tag there on the right-hand side. Pease has done an almighty outlap. Look at the distance he's put between himself and his rival. Optic slopped in between the 2 REL drivers somewhere. He's been already in this race, and of course it's penalties. For Optic, penalty for Michael. In the battle front, Zerdemus into pit lane once more. Could not go to the end on those soft tyres, and his options come in now. But Stevens gets, I think, another time penalty up at the front though. The medium guys are not sort of halting the battle, they are still pushing. As yellow flag in sector 1, that's a Red Bull. I'm going to go with Ezra. His race unravelling a little bit after making an early pit stop. Robbie though, going from the outside, he's going to sweep clean around the outside of Sparks. Yes, he is. And the final corner we go once more. Big snap there for Sparks, but just about holds on. He runs wide to avoid, I think, picking up a warning. Packer just behind them, 7 seconds adrift. Again, another drive on the alternate strategy. Into pit lane comes Gary, going to his medium tyres. A little bit early, I think it might be for the soft, but you can definitely go to the end on them. We've seen Michael do 13 laps for Rinston, yellow flag, and that is, I believe, Stevens' further back. Is he facing the wrong way? That's going to get reported, because you shouldn't really be doing that. Has it induced a safety car? It hasn't, but Zerden was going the way of Robbie, got a virtual safety car. Surely we're going to see some of these. Oh, the guys at the front won't be close enough to get into the pit lane. Yeah, that will definitely get reported, I think it's fair to say. Not ideal from BNLRE. That's just, I caught it. You might have got away with it, I didn't catch it. But yeah, they'll be getting a slap on the wrist, I'm sure. A little bit later on, because that's something you shouldn't really be doing. However, can the top three make it round to the pit lane before the virtual safety car ends? This could be massive for the race. Who's in the pits at the moment? Ezra and Lancy will be gaining from this. Oh, I think it's just going to come in before they really want it to. It's almost a shame we didn't have a full safety car. That would have been quite nice to bunch the field up. Of course, you never wish there was a safety car. You want everyone to finish, but yeah, you might as well go for the full thing rather than the virtual one. And into the pit lane comes Robbie. Into the pit lane comes Sparks. He wants to try and get ahead there. Michael, maybe a little bit conservative behind. What's happened here? Sparks has got a 5-second time penalty for being in the pit lane. He was trying to get a little bit racy. Let's do a quick penalty check, because the virtual safety car is still out. It's just Sparks who picked up 5 seconds there. I thought it might have been Robbie as well. There looked like there were 2 messages that flapped up really quickly. All the medium runners are coming in. Verstappen stays out. Why has Verstappen stayed out? Because his teammates in the pit lane. I'd still do it. I'd still do it. This is a long VSC, and DRS is enabled with green and racing once more. Verstappen does take the lead. He didn't want to risk being held by his teammate. And Peace comes around the final corner now. This could actually be quite close. I'm not sure here. No, it's not actually close. There's a massive gap. Peace has been mugged off a little bit here. They've got 3 drivers in front. Have got the softer compound of tyres. And they've got track position. This is sort of the wrong way. Not the right way it should be. In terms of what would normally happen. And the VSC playing perfectly into the hands of Robbie, Sparks and Michael. And actually, it's been a massive shake-up, because Robbie leads the way for CPI. CPI are your effective race leaders at the moment. Trocker's under massive pressure from guys that have just fit as well. Speaking of the CPI drivers, one's in effective P1, Mun's just moved himself up into on-track P10. And it's clean around the outside there on the soft tyres. The guys who opted for the mediums at the start have come alive all of a sudden. As we head through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel, Sparks staring right to the back of Robbie, and he's no longer staring at the back of Robbie because he was clean around the outside. Helping hand of DRS and a bit of overtake gets him past the Alfa Romeo driver. But Robbie definitely well within that battle up at the front, and TPI well. Could be looking at another good result. They're currently 5th in the championship, and actually, it's fair to say their direct rivals are QVR, DTR, and EVG. And EVG, well, currently in P18, and one of them is out. Things are looking good for CPI, but then again, things are looking good for DTR. Currently 4th and 11th. A chance. There's a decent pool of points for them. And they're else still in a good position. Ariel not too far behind, but fair to say on the medium tyres they could struggle. But then again, they just set the fastest lap of the race. Well, the fastest lap of the race was just set on the medium compound tyres, and there's penalties for Sparks and Michael. This race is sort of coming to a good conclusion. Optic within a second of P's as well now. Let's reel that gap in. What's happening to Michael? Sparks. Sparks facing the wrong way. I don't know what's happened there to him. He may have just completely lost it. Going in a bit too hot. He's going to drop down to P6 now and got a lot of work to do. His tyres will be absolutely roasting. And he is going to struggle with the rear, stepping out on him. He knows, but he can't slow down. He's the chasing pack of Freg. Packer and Gary are behind him. I thought he hit someone there, but again, snapping on the hot tyres. And then there were 2 up at the front. Michael and Robbie have been left to their own devices. We could have a new winning team here this evening. It's going to come down to maybe penalties, I believe, because they are so close, or it could come down to something else. But as it stands, I think we're going to have a new winner here this evening. Of course, there are 2 teams that do sort of watch along, so I imagine the hype will start to build for respective admins and teammates, and people of the leagues. And Michael, of course, maybe in that sort of slightly handicapped position of having 3 seconds at his end of his race, and as things stand, Pease would finish ahead of him. As Ezra gets 3 seconds down in P16. I'm surprised there aren't more penalties. It's a track that is easy to get. Validation just running that a little bit wide. Sparks also having a strong race. It is really unfortunate for NRL. Still, though, it would be a decent point sort for REL and NRL. Making up 4th to 7th at the moment. Packer's still staring at the back of Freg. I'm sure he'll be having a go into Stowe on this occasion. Jarry gets 3 seconds going down in P11. Has got Trucker just behind him. What's happened further up the road? And that's Optic regaining one of the places. No, that's Optic moving ahead of Pease. Packer's got ahead of Freg. DRS closes and he gets on the brakes. Michael just maybe biding his time a little bit here. For the time being, Trucker's got ahead of Jarry. Michael gets 3 seconds and he's currently in 14th. The warning's starting to add up to 3 now as everyone's picking up penalties. Lancey gets 3 seconds as Jarry losing position to Marcus as well. Both of them are on quite old medium tyres but able to go to the end, you would expect. On a deal there from Fergus to Packer now, and Packer is on the attack and we're wanting to get after Sparks, and maybe he's an Optic on the medium tyres, but it's a hard circuit to make proper inroads at. And Verstappen, I think, is waiting for something out front. He's happy just biding his time, hoping there's a safety car or something similar, or maybe another VSC, as Robbie is getting pushed around Cops. Into Maggots and Beckett we go. Trocker's lost position to Marcus, who seems to be really on it at the moment. There's an almighty duel going on between the two Red Bull drivers. And Zerdimer's out the inside, just squeezes Jarry out a little bit. Jarry's going to have a better exit on the outside. Have to go back to the front though, because Michael's gone clean around the outside into Stowe corner. And Robbie can now see the Aston Martin rear wing ahead of him. Can Michael break 3 seconds? It's going to be a big ask. So far from what the general pace suggests, I mean, they're so evenly matched up front as Trock gets back ahead of Marcus. That's around the outside into Stowe, and for me, in my opinion, these guys are effectively battling for that final points paying position. Only 10th and 11th, and their teammates are duelling for first. I mean, you can't write it. The guys battling for which is P9, I think they're effectively battling for. But there's an almighty duel going on for P10 on track at the moment, and there's an almighty duel going on for the effective race lead, and they're both DTR and CPR drivers. One's on the attack, one's on the defence. Cheers, Jack. Could have been worse, I suppose. Nevertheless, Trocker just about holding on ahead of Marcus now, as Bunty's managed to put a bit of a gap. Further up the front, we've got Robbie still within half a second of Michael. DRS and ERS activated, go underneath the bridge as Trocker and Marcus still swapping positions into carbs. Down the inside, Robbie goes, he moves himself up to that effective race lead. They can just about see Verstappen off in the distance. Actually, Verstappen, has he made his pit stop? I don't think he has. If I get it right, no, he hasn't. Verstappen, the only driver yet to stop in this race, was he's hoping for a bit of a safety car. Hoping for a bit of a safety car to try and improve his race. And still, Robbie in the to that pole position, if you like. Optic having a penalty will ease Michael's worries about losing his place. Pease is battling with him. I think Armin is going to give Optic DRS. Is he? He's not. So this will allow the Alpine to close in. Michael still just behind Robbie. I think even with his penalty, he will want to get the track position come the end of the race, just in case Robbie does pick up that third and final warning. Jarry goes fastest lap of this race. Gary's battling with Ferg on the inside. on the exit of Luffield. Onto the National Straight we go. It's going to be a drag race, of course, no DRS here. The Ferrari, I think he's going to get the nose in front. He does keep ahead here, holding P8, but the DRS will switch the other way. Struggling for ERS is Gary Ferg. Well, not too much better off. Marcus and Chocker are still swapping positions just behind this one. That's in the cops once more for them. Actually, Ferg lots of the ground here. And Gary with barely an ERS to play with. Owns the yellow flag in sector 1. It's one of the Mercedes drivers. Lanty is out of the race. Virtual safety car. Once more, we've got 2 virtual safety cars now in this race. Verstappen would have been praying for the full thing. I don't think he'll get round to make use of this VSC. Anyway, that is frustrating for Verstappen. He almost got what he wanted. As into the pit lane comes Marcus. He's getting rid of those old mediums. I wouldn't pit this late on. You're not going to get in the time up. To be honest, full safety car would have been nice. Some drivers with penalties would have been praying it was not the full safety car. Verstappen definitely would have been wanting the full thing. Yeah, he's definitely not going to get around that. Mercedes is clear now. Just to the start of the thanks right, and we're green. We're racing once more. DRS is enabled. They haven't got a mighty restart. I think Optic has. He's only 2.2 behind Michael now. He's getting about 6/10 of a second. As Marcus rejoins the circuit, he is in that battle. We've seen what happened when people come out of the pit lane in this battle. He's just behind Zerma. No way through at the moment. Ezra just behind the pair of them. Arwin's not actually here, but he is P17. Still, surely Verstappen into pit lane this time around. I don't think we're going to be seeing any more safety cars or anything. And he stays out. He's just hoping for something to happen that will allow him to sort of make a cheap pit stop. Pease would currently be P2, I think. He's just within 3 seconds of Michael. Michael needs to sort of try and cement this P2. I think it's, to be honest, he hits the brakes. And gets on the power now. Just see Robbie in the distance. He is slowly starting to eke back ahead of Optic. What's the gap he'll be most worried about is the one to Pease. As Pease has yet to score any penalties, and Pease could have been behind Optic there, but not close enough to make a move into Brooklands. We head down towards Cops Corner once more. We see the Aston Martin Alfa Romeo dueling up in front. And the Alpine just behind the McLaren, who is struggling for ERS. Optic is on 6%. He could be a little bit defenceless in the next DRS straight. The Alpine seems to have got a decent exit. He's in the slipstream, he's in the tow. They are the same thing, but I said them both. Down the inside he goes, and he slots back onto the racing line before he hits the corner. And he might use his ERS advantage now to try and build a bit of a gap. And actually, as things stand, Pease would jump ahead of Michael. It is tantalisingly close. The gap between them. Michael would want that gap to be over 3 seconds. It's 2.7 as they cross the line with 4 laps to go. 3-second penalty for Marcus in P14. That'll be added at the end of the race. Good battle of P7 going on at the moment. You've got Gary and Freg not too far behind Packer. Of course, Zermo and Trogosaur 3-second penalty in P11. Ezra and Zermo still dueling away. Ezra on the softs, Ezra on the mediums. Both pitted roughly around the same time. Of course, there is a slight bias from myself. Of course, commentating for DTR this evening. Of course, DTR currently in P3 on circuit. In the battle up at the front. I would quite like to see the gap go over 3 seconds, but it is going to be super close. I feel it depends. I think it depends how much they battle with the cars around them. Of course, Pease has got no ERS left. Genuinely, he had 0% for a brief moment. Michael a bit more, so we could see a bit of a push from him later on. Of course, the difference is Pease is going to come under threat from Optic behind. Michael's got a car in front of him. I think it's just going to be super close, and we're going to have to see how this one pans out. It's sort of quite bizarre that the battle, I think the key one we're focusing on is Bunty picks up 3 seconds. He was having a good race, and actually I think it's just sort of cementing his P10 at the moment, which will probably become a P9 when Verstappen pits, and that's a fantastic result for him. I think we're going to get a good result for both CPR and DTR tonight, no matter what happens. He's under a bit of pressure from behind. I don't think too much, as Optic's in a bit of saving for a late push to try and find a way past. Yellow flag in sector 1. What's happened here? Oh no, I've commentated cursed him. Bunty was having a fantastic race. He's going to hold on to P10. Michael gets 3 more seconds. And that basically nullifies the battle. You'll have to focus on Optic instead, rather than Pease. Praying Pease picks up a penalty, but Bunty was having an absolute stellar race in P10. A bit of no man's land, really. He's now got Trucker not too far behind him. No positions lost there. Sparks picks up 3 seconds. Get the penalties up rather than the tyres. I mean, we've got barely any laps left. We'll just see who's on what. Sparks up to 8 seconds now. So we'll be getting jumped a fair bit. Michael's gone for the move down the inside. Wants to try and put a bit of daylight between himself and others. Probably Verstappen is into the pit lane. He's decided isn't had enough of those medium tyres finally. What's happening up at the front? We're going to get, actually we're going to get the leader gaps up. Actually, Michael would drop. Oh no, the Delta's got a bit mucked up there. Oh, Verstappen's into pit lane, that's why. Got a bit confused there. He puts on a set of softs and he'll be, well, he slots out and be quite interesting. But yeah, as things stand, it will be Robbie from Pease, then Michael, as we're on the penultimate lap of this race. Bunty's still going, he's keeping that gap ahead. Bunty up in the P9 now, as we did think. And he's going to have a rapid Verstappen behind him for the last 2 laps of this Grand Prix. Can Bunty hold on? I kind of hope so. Looking for a move there was Gary. Frank's getting involved as well. Macca's ahead of Jari, that's on the Hamilton straight. And Michael leading the way from Robbie. Oh, it's going to be close. 1 lap left to go when they cross the line for the final time. How's Bunty getting on? Really good so far, and he's got Verstappen. Oh, Verstappen's already got him. So it looks like it might be P10 for Bunty. Trogger's getting interested behind. We're going to have a good battle, I think, here for the final couple of points pen positions. Ezra gets a 3-second time penalty. Optic has got ahead of Pease. That could be significant if any penalties come into play. Backer's trying to hold on to P6. Gary's around the outside. He goes clean around the outside before they hit the apex. Freg getting interested too. It looks like Bunty could be safe from the attack behind of Trocker. Of course, them both having 3-second time penalties does mean that this battle will have to be decided on track. Shall get that of Macus. Macus doing all the position swapping, it seems, involved in some good battles here this evening. And Packer's trying to go round the outside, or Fog's going to go down the inside. That's Fog on a P7. They both got DRS, they're both gaining on Gary. Could we see a bit of a move? Could we see a double move here into Brooklands? They will stay as they were. Bit of a switch back here, I think, lining up here for Freg. We're going to have to keep an eye on the top 2. And exit onto the national straight we go. It's still Packer behind Frey for 2 QVR cars, 8th and 9th. And Verstappen a little bit further behind, about 10 seconds further behind. We'll go back to the battle at the front. Will Robbie go for the move on circuit? He went for the move late last week to finish on the podium. Down into the inside we go. Robbie takes the lead of the Grand Prix. It's going to be back-to-back podiums. It's going to be a 3rd and a win. It looks like for Robbie. He rounds the final couple of corners. CPI will take their first win here this evening. They've all got 3 podiums to their name. They now climb onto the top step. Robbie takes the lead. Michael finishes on track 2nd. Optic will finish on track 3rd. Michael's lost out here. Michael loses out on the podium. It's Optic who takes the final spot. Our calculations seem to have been a little bit wrong. Sparks takes P5, crashes across the line, and loses a fair few positions to Gary, Freg, Packer, and there's a lot of crashing going on now, but it's after the line, that's all that matters. Verstappen does get the fastest lap, 1 minute 26.9. That's absolutely rapid, despite running out of ERS. Bunty takes a well-earned P10 just ahead of Trocker. Michael is 12th, and then comes Jari and Makos, who are still dueling out. And speaking of still dueling out, got Ezra down the inside, just holding on ahead of Zerdimer. Zerdimer will take the positions, though, because of penalties. But it's Robbie who takes the win. It's very, very well deserved, I must say. I think he's going to get my driver of the day. Who will get driver of the day, though, is another big question. Who's gained the most positions in this race? And it is Robbie. That's a fitting tribute, I think. And I think an all-round good result for CPI, their strongest result of the season. And that will definitely, I think, put them ahead of QVR. It will be pretty close. They're sort of definitely cementing their battle for P4. Ariel missing out a little bit come the end of this one. You could argue McLaren as well, not sort of finishing as strongly as the initial race pace suggested. Someone suggesting Robbie cut the pits. That will have to go down to the stewards. Unfortunately, we did not see that, so can't comment on it. But it's Robbie from P's from Optic. That is your podium. Michael just missing out, unfortunately for him, and DTR takes P4, but still a decent haul of points. And then comes Gary in the Ferrari, getting some good points for XL, but they'll be losing out today. I feel only one car in the points. Then comes Freg, then comes Packer, then comes Sparks. QVR Verstappen is P9. Bunty rounds out the top 10, then it's Trocker, a valiant effort from him. Definitely involved in those points battles, but just missing out on the end. Michael missed out on qualifying, so decent recovery drive, about 8 places. Then comes Jari, then comes Makos, who seemed to be involved in every single battle on the circuit today, just losing out, unfortunately for him. Zerdimer P15, ahead of Ezra. Aaron, who wasn't actually really here for most of the race, then Lancey Stevens. And Nipro are your unfortunate retirements. And that is round number 6. We're at the halfway point now of the DTR Esports League. Of course, during the midweek we've got the divisions racing at Silverstone. And then we go... where are we next week? Next Friday night. We will be... I always do this. I always forget which... where we're going to be the following week. That's not the one I want to see. I will find it at some point, because I'm looking into the GT Sports channels, that's why I can't see it. Next week, we're in Singapore, a completely different circuit, so make sure to join us for that. And also join us for all the midweek races. I will, see you all next Friday night. We're going to have a great esports race, I'm sure. And Singapore always produces an interesting race. Make sure to join me for that. It's always a long one as well, so make sure to try and keep me a bit of company. That would be appreciated. But yeah, see everybody next week. And make sure to check out the DTR races as well during the week at Silverstone.